We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Brian, or better known as Brain the Vampire, which I still don't remember saying any of those words, so I think you made it up. First, some defense of keeping his AV vendor. I think I said you should fire him, so this is on me.
Yes.
The vendor is associated with the builder, so if he wants any work done before the construction is complete, he has to use them. That sucks. But yeah. I feel you. If he hires his own AV installer, he'd have to come up. He'd have to open up walls after the build is complete, which is inconvenient and more costly. Since he's having a set of speakers run to the master bedroom on the second floor, in addition to the theater stuff, it seems best to stick with them and just deal with the bad advice. As long as you don't take it, you can deal with it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. As long as you can get what you want, which, God, why wouldn't they? But yeah. Okay. There's
Okay,
an explanation.
about the amplifiers we suggested, both the Monolith and the Emotiva seem nice, but he's noticed the Monolith is listed as Class AB, and the XPA Gen3 is listed as Class H. What's the difference? Will it have any effect on the sound that he might notice?
The power supply.
Right. And to answer the second part of that question, probably not.
No.
I
Highly
don't think
unlikely.
So. Highly unlikely. So it's just a different amplifier topology. A Class AB is very typical. We talked about it a number of times in this podcast. You know, the Class H is another switching amp, right, with a different power supply. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, to be clear, both of them are Class AB amplifiers, but the one that's called Class AB just has a regular linear power supply, and the one that's called Class H has basically a constantly variable power supply. So normally you have like a switching power supply that has different voltage rails. So as you need more power, it can switch to a higher voltage rail on the fly. Class H sort of like continuously sweeps up and down as necessary. So yeah, that's it. The power supply is different, but the amplifier modules themselves are both Class AB.
Both of these amplifiers are going to be fantastic. So, you know, aesthetically, it's a good way to choose, I suppose. You know, they're going to be fine with whichever one you take.
Yeah, the Emotiva is $100 more than the Monolith, so it's not a gigantic gap in price either.
Yeah. All right, so you checked out the Martin Logan ElectroMotion series that Rob suggested, and since that's the series, since that's a series of names, there are two tower models in that lineup, the ESL and the ESLX. The ESLX has a slightly larger electrostatic panel, 40 inches tall versus 34 inches tall, and it uses two 8-inch drivers versus one 8-inch driver. So given his intention to buy an SVS SB16 Ultra subwoofer, how much use will he be getting out of those 8-inch drivers? And is there a clear choice between the ESL and a more expensive ESLX in this situation? How big is this room again? I remember it being small. I remember the space being small.
No. I mean, he's in a great room that's completely open to everything. The living room section is about 15 feet wide.
Right.
So his distance from eyes to screen is somewhere around maybe 13 feet, 12 or 13 feet. This is a bit tricky. First of all, you will definitely be making use of those 8-inch drivers. They cross over. I think one of them crosses over a little bit lower than the other. The one with the larger electrostatic panel plays down to about 400 or 450 hertz, and then the 8-inch drivers take over, whereas the other one I think plays down to 500 hertz, or it's something along those lines. But yeah. There's a whole bunch of, from 500 hertz down to where your subwoofer takes over that's being handled by that 8-inch or dual 8-inch drivers. So they're definitely in use. And given how much space he has, I mean, in general, the larger electrostatic panels are that little bit more resolving, right? Because
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a significant amount of money.
I'm worried about, and this is where it comes into, because I didn't look at the actual price, but I'm looking at the words Martin Logan and
it's about 3,000 a pair versus about 5,000 a pair.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to justify the extra $2,000, but these are the explanations for why the bonuses. Okay, first of all, larger panel, just in general, is going to be a better electrostatic experience. It's going to have. It's going to be a little bit louder. It's going to be able to play a little bit lower. It's going to be, like Rob said, a little bit more resolving.
Yeah.
The extra woofer means that you're going to have a little bit more bass in that lower mid range as we're getting down into the subwoofer. It's going to be able to cross over easier if bass is being swallowed up into your room because of the size. It's going to be able to play a little bit louder and keep up. Yes, you are going to be using your whatever it is, the SB16 Ultra. Yes, you will have fantastic bass. It's just that one crossover region there. If it were me,
God, I hate how much money we're asking him to spend.
It's such a hard one. If it were me, I'm thinking, I don't know. Okay, let me put it to you this way. In my price range, when I was buying, I'm going to keep coming back to this bicycle analogy for this entire podcast. I'm sorry, I have to. It's just the thing I bought. When I was making the decision on which bike to buy, there was one I liked because of the looks. One I didn't like at all. And one that I felt was a little bit lighter. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I didn't think it was anything. It might have been a tiny bit more comfortable, which I'm now thinking was something I should have. After my current experience with having a hard time sitting down for 2 hours at a time, is now something I should have thought more carefully about. Might have been slightly more comfortable than the bike other bike, but there was a $100 difference between the two, which is a significant amount of money at the price point. I'm not looking at the $4,000 bikes. I'm looking at much less than that. It's a significant amount of money. We're talking like a quarter almost, maybe a little bit less than a quarter of the total price of the bike. And my wife thought I was going to go with the more expensive one because I usually do. I mean, that's usually what I do. But I called her and told her I was going with the other one, the cheaper one. And she said, why? I said, there's probably a performance difference that is probably non-zero. It may even be worth the extra money. I don't know that in my current state of infancy, of ignorance about how these things work, that I will ever know that difference or ever realize that or understand that difference. Therefore, if I never buy another bike, I will never know what I was missing. But if I do buy another bike, I am not going to buy that other bike that costs $100 more. I'm going to buy something that costs a lot more than that.
Yeah, way more, yeah.
So, in your situation, do I think there will be a performance benefit of giving the larger speaker? I think the answer is yes. Do I think it's worth an additional 2/3 the cost of the speaker?
Yeah.
The answer is probably no, to be honest with you. It really is. And it's hard for me to say that because I think the performance difference would be real. I think if you A/B them, you would hear it. But in the end, I don't know if it'd be worth $2,000, and I think the not knowing would make it okay, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and by the way, both of these, they dropped down to 1.6 ohms at one point. So that amplifier is a good purchase.
Yeah.
I no longer feel the least bit guilty about suggesting you get that because AV receivers are going to struggle with 1.6 ohms, whereas the Monolith will not, and the Emotiva won't either. So yeah, I completely agree. If money were not a consideration, I would say there's an argument to be made for going for the larger ESL X. I don't think it's worthless in your situation.
No.
I think there is some value to be had there. But if the money is an object, I don't think you're going to be listening to the regular ESL, the smaller one, and be going, oh, I'm definitely missing something.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
I think you're going to be sitting if you were sitting like 3 more feet away from these speakers, I think I'd push you in that direction. If you were sitting like, 16, 18 feet away, I'd be like, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to go bigger.
Got to go bigger.
Yep.
But you're not. I don't think you will be.
There you go. That's as helpful as we're going to be on that one, man.
Sorry, dude. I'm trying to save you money, be honest
Other people's monies. I know.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.